Hi, and welcome to Stamp with Ginny. Today I'm going to share with you how I made this darling little donkey card using the Darling Donkey stamp set from the Sale-a-bration brochure. Not only can you earn the Darling Donkey stamp set, but you can also earn this beautiful Oh So Ombre designer series paper that's part of our Sale-a-bration product line. So let me set this aside and I'll show you how to get started. For this project, I'm going to start with the stamping. So I am going to ink up my little donkey here holding the rose and stamp it in the middle of my basic white cardstock. There we go. And then I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Blends. I'm going to use the Rococo Rose for his flower, and I'm going to color this little rose right here. I'm using the light for the front, and then I'm using the dark here for the back. And I'm just doing straight coloring. I'm going to bring in my Just Jade for his flower stem here, and I'm going to color the stem first with the dark, and then I'm going to bring the light in for this little leaf. There we go. I'm going to move on to his ears, and I am going to take a little of our dark petal pink here and run it along the edges of his ears. And then I'm going to bring in my light petal pink and finish that ear out, giving it a little bit of depth using the two colors. And finally, I'm going to bring in the gray granite. I'm going to start with his little hoofs here, and I'm going to use the dark, and I'm going to color those in. And then I'm going to color in his tail and this little area right here next to his body. And I'm also going to color his muzzle here, both the top and the bottom. And I'm going to draw a little line here where his neck meets and the little fuzz on his back there to show a little bit of shading. Next, I'm going to bring in the light, and I'm going to take that and do the top of his ears and his face. And I just realized I missed his hair tufts, so we'll come back with our dark and add that in. And I'm going to do his legs. I'm not doing a lot of shading. This is just quick and easy coloring, filling in the space and going around the stem of that flower. There we go. Now that I've got the light done, I can bring that dark back in, and this time I'm going to use the bullet tip, and I'm going to add those cute little tufts of hair on his head that add some personality to him. And I can even go over some of those areas where I want to pull in a little shading if I'd like on his back legs. Okay, now that I have that done, I'm ready to cut him out with my oval die and my Stampin' Cut and Emboss. So let me show you the next step. For the next step, I'm going to bring in this basic white piece of cardstock, which is my front panel that I'm going to finish stamping my sentiment on, and my piece of designer series paper. Now I'm laying this down as a mask because I want to be able to stamp where I'd like it to go, and I'm going to bring in this strip here also to give you a definite definition as to where I'm looking. I'm going to bring in the You're the Best sentiment, and I'm going to ink that up and put this right here above that line on the right hand side. For this, I didn't have to bring the oval in because I've got a pretty good idea of where that's going to go, and I've got plenty of playroom. Now that I have that sentiment stamped, I'm ready to start assembling. I'm going to flip over this beautiful Rococo Rose piece of designer series paper from the Sale-a-bration products that are free, and I'm going to adhere that right onto the bottom of my Whisper White panel. And then I'm going to adhere this onto the Rococo Rose panel. Once I have that done, I'm ready to add my Rococo Rose stripe. And I've done it this way so that I've got a little extra length and I can trim things off if I need to. So I'm going to put my adhesive here, and then I'm going to put a little adhesive where those pieces of cardstock meet so that I can line them up, and I can place this right in place. If you need to, you can use your grid paper to adjust that and make sure you're doing it straight. And then I can bring in my paper snips here and just snip off the extra length. That's just a little tip if you don't like to have that odd little piece of cardstock showing when you're cutting and things might not be perfectly straight. Now that I have this layered piece done, I'm ready to bring in my ribbon. I'm going to take this beautiful Whisper Right seam binding that's crinkled and wrap it around my card base. I do like to tie on the bolt, but if you prefer not to, you can cut it ahead of time. The measurement is on your PDF, and I'm going to bring that in and tie a bow. Now, I love this technique because it allows a lot of forgiveness on where you tie. Sorry, it's cold here in Georgia, and my fingers are just not wanting to cooperate real well this morning. I'm sure you can hear the whirl of my little heater going also as I'm trying to warm up my space. And I'm going to tie that into a little bow there. Once I have that the way I want it, I can adjust and then take my paper snips and trim. And I want to do this end also because it's not cut at an angle. And then I can slide this simply by moving my cardstock and bending it a little bit and slide it to where I want it. Now, before I decide completely where I am wanting to have that ribbon, I can lay this oval here and see if I want to adjust some more. And I think I'm going to tuck this little ribbon right under the sentiment here. So I'm liking that. I can remove this and I'm ready to add it to my card front. I'm going to use my bone folder on that thick basic white base, and I am going to adhere this down. Now you can go right over the ribbon if you want to tack it in place. That's not going to hurt anything, and it'll keep it from sliding. There we go. I've adhered it to my card front, and I'm ready to add my donkey. So I'm going to take this cute little guy and adhere him right onto my Rococo scallop oval that I cut out at the same time that I was cutting out my little donkey. I love that this set of dies has scallops along with multiple sizes of ovals. So it makes for perfect layering. And then I'm going to add my dimensionals to the back. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Remove those backings. And on a big piece like this, if you want, you can put a dimensional in the center also. And I'm going to adhere that little fellow right down on the left-hand side here. There we go. Isn't he adorable? I just love this set of stamps that you can earn for free. So there you go, an adorable little card made with the Darling Donkey stamp set. If you'd like any of these products, feel free to stop by my online store. You can get there from my blog, Stamp with Jini. And of course, if you don't already have a demonstrator and would like a Sale-a-bration brochure and 2021 January-June mini catalog, email me your name, address, and phone number, and I'll be happy to mail you one. Thanks for joining me.